Welcome to today's episode of your Vibe Tribe podcast. Hi, my name is Eliana, and today we are talking about the questions you should be asking yourself. Many of you, like myself, have been following a path for probably the most or a majority of your life that society told you you needed to follow. And maybe not society, maybe it was your family members. Maybe it's just the circumstances that life gave you made you think this is the path that I deserve, or this is the path that I think I have to follow. And for a long time, I never asked myself the questions that were so crucial and so important to living a fulfilling and intentional life. And some of those questions are, what do I want out of life? What do I need to do to make me happy? How do I want my life to look like in 5 or 10 years? What do I value in life? And what is a meaningful life to me? There are so many questions that I just didn't ask myself until I got into my late 20s. And when I tell you that this moment, it all just came at me at once. I just woke up one day and I truly felt so lost. Didn't know where I was going. I didn't know where I wanted to turn. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that in this very moment, I feel so unhappy and I feel so overwhelmed because I almost felt stuck in my life. I didn't know how I had gotten to where I was in this moment. I had a recollection of all these moments and memories and all these things that I had done, but I didn't feel like I was in control, which is so crazy. But it happened and it all came kind of crashing down on me. And thankfully, I had my partner to kind of help me, not crumble. And I have a very supportive family too. But it was crazy because I kind of had I would call it an awakening of realizing that, wow, up until this moment, I've been on hyperdrive. I've been kind of just fighting to survive. And with fighting to survive, you never really live. And so it was a really hard moment when I realized that I wasn't really living. It was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow. That day was really tough, but I'm so grateful because it awakened something within me that really got the ball rolling with me being more deep and more thought provoking and really asking myself a lot of these hard questions that I had been avoiding my whole life. I think that what I went through, not knowing what I wanted out of life, honestly, not really knowing who I was to my core, is a huge problem going on today. I think people are so stimulated by all the noise, all the people posting on social media, their friends, what your parents tell you have to do. For some people, you wake up and you know exactly who you are. You know exactly what you want in a life. My partner is someone like that. He had this vision and this dream since he was little, and he's been working towards that ever since. It's very in line with who he is. But I think for the majority of us, that doesn't always come so easy. And I think that awakening and that moment realizing that I need to really explore who I am can sometimes come later in life for some of us. And so I think that's a huge problem right now is that people don't know who they are. And I think when you don't know who you are very easily influenced by outside factors. You're influenced, social media influencers, content creators, you're influenced by your parents, you're influenced by your friends, you're influenced by all this outside noise. When you truly know who you are, you know what applies to you and what doesn't. But when you don't know who you are, you're kind of taking it all in, like maybe this will work, or maybe this applies to me, or maybe that's good advice. It's that uncertainty of not knowing who you are that I think is just a huge problem in today's world. Before you can find out where you want to go, you need to know who you are and where you currently stand. But I really want to share with you these important questions that can help bring more clarity and really just a deeper understanding into who you are to figure out then where you want to go. What I want to challenge you to do is to grab a pen and paper or grab your phone wherever you feel comfortable taking notes. And I want you to actually answer all of these questions that I'm going to give you today. And I know writing out thoughts can sometimes be really difficult. I know for me, it can be hard to center and organize your thoughts. And so that's okay. If you feel overwhelmed by this exercise or you don't know how to answer this question in this very moment, that's okay. Leave it blank, move on to the next one, but just keep it in mind. And if you know that this question I left it blank, just be mindful of that question you didn't answer and maybe keep thinking about that, right? Keep pondering on it. And I'm telling you that life will kind of answer it for you. It'll point you in the right direction. So one of the most important questions, I love this question so much, but the question is, who am I when I'm at my best? I love that question so much. Like, I just want to set that in, like, who am I when I am my best? Such a great question. And like, I bet you haven't really sat down to think like what I'm when I'm when I'm doing something, when does my true essence and energy come out? Like, when do I feel the most comfortable? So like for me, when I'm at my best, when I have the best mindset, when it's solid and it's strong, I'm very funny. I feel creative. I feel confident and I feel empowered. And I feel like I know exactly what I'm doing. I feel in control. And that's when I know I'm in a good headspace right now. When I see the upside of things, when I see the positivity, and I see someone else is down and I want to uplift them because I'm like, I need you here with me, right? Like, you can't be down there. I need you up in this energy level with me. So that's when I know that I am the best, when I am the best version of myself, when I'm happy, when I'm bubbly, when I'm creative. And that might be different for everyone. You might be very calm and you might be very focused. There's so many aspects of that, but answer it however that applies to you. Another great question you want to ask yourself, and this is kind of a follow up question to that, but if I'm not at my best version right now, what can I do to make myself better? Just to give you an example of me personally, for me, I know I'm not in a good headspace when I start to really doubt my ability. And that's something that I know I've had to battle all of my life, which is why I constantly do affirmations. I'm constantly reading. I listen to podcasts. Podcasts really have helped me have a better mindset. And that's why I wanted to create this community. I know that when I'm in a bad headspace, those negative thoughts and those self doubts really come in. And so I always have to be conscious of things that I can do every single day to help combat that. So, great follow up question to that one. Okay, so third question, I want you to ask yourself, what are my strengths, my talents, and my skills? And I don't want any single person to sit there and be like, I don't have any strengths, I don't have any talents, and I don't have any skills, because that is not true. We all have strengths. And even something that you think might be a negative, I'm sure there's a positive in that negative. Like, for example, I have a very strong personality in terms of authority. I don't love authority. I really hate when people tell me what to do. Like, I just hate it. It could be a little bit of a problem in corporate America, but at the same time, it also is a strength in the sense that I am a very free thinker and I will always be honest and give my honest opinion to you. And so there is always going to be a positive and the negative. So I would just be mindful, but I know for sure you have to have talents. Are you creative? Do you have stamina? Do you have stamina to go against challenges? And despite challenges, you still push ahead and you keep pushing through. Are you a problem solver? Do you have challenges and then you're able to figure out different ways to get around it or to get out of a sticky situation? Are you great at math? Are you analytical? I mean, there's just so many talents, and it doesn't have to be something by the book. It could be something a little bit more niche, right? But we all have strengths. And I think asking yourself what those are will really, really help you figure out more about yourself. I think some people will have a hard time with this question because I think for some of you, it might be hard to differentiate the person that you want to be versus the person that you actually are. And I think that's okay. I think if you want to be a little bit different, that's fine, but you still need to know how you are. You really need to look within and figure out, like, what am I actually good at? There's a bunch of strength tests that you can take online. I definitely recommend you look up. There's so many free ones on the internet that you can take. I took one recently. Let me look it up. So the test that I took, it's called High Five, and it gave me my strengths. And honestly, having those strengths really, really helped me just feel more confident in my abilities. Like for me, a big strength was coach, right? I like to coach people. I like to find people's potential. I mean, hello, this is what we're doing right now, right? It's in line with who I am. And so I think taking a test like that would really help answer some of those questions. And then maybe you can reflect back and think like, okay, do I feel like this is true? Like, is this in line with who I really am? And start to kind of ask yourself all those questions. Okay, so last question I want you to ask yourself. What activities or subjects make me lose track of time when I'm engaged in them? So this is such a big one because I get lost in the sauce when I'm creating content for my podcast. One, when I'm creating content for my podcast, I get to sit down and it almost feels like a personal diary. Like I feel like I'm kind of just like getting all of these things off my chest, and I get to be real and vulnerable and just like feel like we're talking in a very relaxed environment. Like I legitimately feel like I'm talking to my friend when I'm filming. Right when I film my podcast, I feel like this is meant for me. It brings me this calmness and this release that I can't explain. And that feeling is what further cements me and my belief that this is what I should be doing. My boyfriend says in el mundo, right? Because he's an artist, and in el mundo means in the world. Like I'm lost in the world, right? When he's drawing and creating art, he just gets lost in what he's doing. And it's like almost like a meditative experience. And that's kind of how I feel when I'm filming my podcast. I feel like when I'm done, I'm like, I just feel like I just got all of this off my chest. Like I just feel brand new. I don't feel exhausted. So just to wrap up this episode, really, I know that some of these questions might be hard to ask yourself, but you gotta do it. You gotta ask yourself these questions. You gotta take control of the life you want to live. And you have to be more intentional in what you do every single day. So that is it for this episode. Make sure to like and follow. And as always, anything you do, do it with love, passion, and conviction. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.